Greg, secure the premises.
Great job. Yeah. That's all.
All set?
Great.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the May 7th Pittsfield Town Council meeting. I'd like to start the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. I invite everybody to stand up and join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all very much. So if I may, for just a moment of silence, please. Thank you, everybody. So let's move on to number 4, the adoption of the minutes for the town council meeting, April 16th, 2024. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion, we adopt meeting minutes from April 16th, 2024.
Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments from the council? Very well, hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of the adoption of the minutes of the town council meeting as written for April 16th, 2024, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The minutes have been passed. Number 5, presentations, congratulations, introductions. There are none this evening, as is with number 6, public hearings. So we shall go right into reports. Number 7, Jacob, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. This week is the 55th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, a tradition recognizing town and city clerks for the vital services that they perform and for their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. With that being said, I want to say thank you to our town clerk, Nicole, and her deputy clerks, Hillary, Angel, Brittany, and Tina, for all that they do for our town. We're very fortunate to have them all on Team Pittsfield. Northeast Paving has completed paving on Waverly, Dobson, and Sebasticook streets, and I believe Livingston Street is nearly complete, if not complete. The remaining streets that still need to be completed are Libby, Manson, and a portion of the Higgins Road. Like a broken record here, but the materials for the Public Works garage roof arrived today. Work is expected to finally begin tomorrow. I received the unfortunate news this week that Stan Short will be resigning as sexton effective this Saturday. Donnie and I will be meeting with another potential candidate this week to review the job duties and discuss this position further. And finally, I have attached the list of nominees. I sent them to the council for the Spirit of America Award. Once the council agrees on who to nominate, I will schedule the award presentation. Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you want to have that discussion at this point or.
Yeah, I guess we probably could. So council, we have a list, a suggested list of the nominee suggestions for the 2024 Spirit of America Foundation Award. For the presentation this month, we can suggest from that list. We can certainly suggest someone else or for consideration, or if you'd like to have a little more time to come up with a worthy name, we can certainly put this off to the next meeting. So any input, council? Do we wish to move on this evening, or do you want to wait another meeting to come up with a couple names to consider other than what's on the list?
What's our time frame? Like what, do they have a regional or a county award ceremony or something? When is that?
I'm not sure when that is. I think probably the sooner the better.
It's up to you.
Up to me.
Yeah, sure.
If we have time for to consider on the next meeting, you think we do?
That's fine.
Okay, so let's, I suggest that we put this off to the next meeting and, we can come up with some names. I honestly, I haven't come up, I haven't really given a whole lot of thought myself. Does that sound good, council? Fred?
Yeah.
Heather? Doc?
Yep.
Jason?
Yes.
Eric?
Yeah.
Natalia? All right, let's, table this, well, not really officially table, it's not an action, but, let's put it on your list, for next time if you would. And, I would ask the council between now and the next meeting, if you could, send in, email some suggestions to, Jacob. So he'll have a updated list that we can consider. Okay? All right, thank you. Jacob? You all set?
I'm all set.
All right, very well. Thank you very much for that. So that takes care of number 7, old business. Number 8, there is none. We shall move on to new business. And our outstanding clerk of the week and the year and every time, Nicole, if you would, please, resolution 2447.
Resolution authorizing the town manager and grant administrator to file an application to the Maine Forest Service for a project canopy assistance planning and education grant to not exceed $20,000 with a 50% in-kind match.
I'll look for a motion to council, please.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 2447.
Second.
Give me a second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments, from anyone in the audience? Very well, I'll close the public input. Council, any questions or comments on resolution 2447? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-47, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 2447 passes. Nicole, resolution 2448, please.
Resolution authorizing the town manager and grant administrator to file an application to the Maine Forest Service for a project canopy assistance inflation reduction act urban and community forest and grant IRA UTC to not exceed $60,000.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2448.
Second.
Move to second. Thank you, gentlemen. Questions or comments from the audience on resolution 2448? Yes, Catherine.
Yes. Catherine Ruth, grant administrator. This is one of my agenda items. I just wanted to note that when I submitted it, we have received quotations that were quite high for the trees, but I reached out to some other areas of the state where I previously worked, and we've got some really good quotations, so we may be able to get up to 50 trees. So we'll see how the figures all come out. There's no match required for this grant. We have a 2-year period, so we can split up the tree planting and everything. So this might work out quite well, as well as the pruning, which Donnie's got some quotations for us. So everything has to be bid out, but right now it looks really good.
Okay, thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Very well, I'll close the public input. Council, any questions or comments on resolution 2448? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 2448, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 24-48 passes. Thank you for the information, Catherine.
Thank you.
Nicole, resolution 2449, please.
Resolution appointing Scott Jones to the recycling committee.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2449.
Second.
Moving to second. Thank you, gentlemen. Questions or comments from anybody in the audience for resolution 2449? Very well, hearing none, I will close the public input. Council. Questions or comments on resolution 2449? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. Excuse me. All those in favor of resolution 2449, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 2449 passes with Mr. Scott Jones to the recycling committee, and thanks to him for volunteering for that. Nicole, resolution 24-50, please.
Resolution approving the application for a special taste testing event license for the Maine Cheese Festival to be held on Sunday, September 8th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Manson Park.
I'll look for a motion to council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 24-50.
Second.
Moving to second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience on resolution 2450? Very well, hearing none, I will close public input. Council. Any questions or comments on resolution 2450?
Think the event, if anybody has any questions about it, it's our 7th, 8th, what does it say, 8th annual Uh, Cheese Festival, it's, the fifth year we've had it here, 19. 21, 22, 23, fifth year, here in Pittsfield, so, gaining traction, has quite a following, expecting more people to attend this year. Yeah, pretty much similar layout, trying to keep our pricing the same, and, just trying to get more and more people to come and discover our town.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else, council? It is getting bigger every year. All right, very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 2450, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 2450 passes, and we're gonna cheese. Nicole, resolution 2451, please.
Resolution approving public exhibition and special amusement permit for the Main Cheese Festival to be held on Sunday, September 8th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Manson Park.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2451.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience on resolution 2451? Very well, close public input. Council, any questions or comments on resolution 2451? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 2451, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 2451 passes, and we're cheesing again. Nicole, resolution 2452, please.
Resolution waiving the permit fee and approving the issuance of a parade permit to the American Legion Post 32 for Memorial Day Parade on May 27th, 2024.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2453.
Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Questions or comments from anyone in the audience on resolution 2452? Very well, close the public input. Council, questions or comments on resolution 2452? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 2452, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 2452 passes. Nicole, resolution 2453, please.
Resolution accepting the bid from Iron Coast Construction LLC in the amount of $110,350 for manhole adjustments on Heartland Avenue, Northwest Avenue, and Tulsa Avenue.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2453.
Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Questions or comments from anyone in the audience on resolution 2453? Yes.
Travis Jones, Assistant Operations Manager for Olver Associates. Just there to give some sort of background or answer any questions. Bid package was put together. This is for the raising and adjustment of 41 manholes between in preparation for the DOT paving project on Heartland, Peltoma, and Madawaska. In the past, this hasn't always been done, and unfortunately, probably eight manholes are completely paved over on Peltoma, and 7 are completely paved over on Madawaska. So manholes are in the road to literally give access to your sewer lines. So this is something that we felt was a necessity to make sure that we're bringing these up to grade to have access and be able to confirm the proper operation of the sewers in the in town. So I can answer any other questions that you have. We're very happy with the price that we got with this. It turns out to be just a little less than $2,700 per manhole. Once upon a time, pre-COVID, it was the rule of thumb was $2,500. So we're still right in that ballpark. So we're very, very happy with this pricing that we received back.
Okay, so if I could ask you to hold that station there and see if anyone in the audience has any questions for resolution 2453? All right, yes, Catherine.
Catherine Ruth, I would just mention that several times over the years, we would hire a separate company to work on the manholes and catch basins, and this works out much better than trying to do them during the paving project. So this is excellent.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Anyone else in the audience? All right, I will close to public input. Council, any questions or comments? Yes, Craig.
Quick question, on Madawaska, you say there's 7?
On Madawaska, there's a total of 7 that are paved over. There's gonna be a total of 18 manholes that are gonna be adjusted on Madawaska.
Okay, all right, the ones that were, because they were raised at the time when the trench paving was done.
Right, but we're gonna,
4 or 5 years ago.
but again, with more paving coming, you'll need to raise those up and make sure that the bed that frame and cover sits in is appropriate and it hasn't degraded to the point where we're just paving over.
No, I got you, I mean, I fully understand, I would run over the ones that aren't paved over every single day, trying to avoid them, but it's absolutely impossible. So I was trying to, you know,
Well,
picture
we're gonna need to
74
fix-
land mines.
Right.
How is that even possible?
Yeah,
It's just-
it's a slalom course.
I could not fathom how that happened.
So,
Now I know how Mr. Frost laid his motorcycle down.
other people with that experience would go around.
Yeah, you try that with a car that rides about that high off the road.
You need to go the other way.
I know, I can't, Waverly's been big. No, I just was trying to figure that out, thank you very much. Yeah, I know, right?
All set, Craig?
Yeah,
All
absolutely,
right.
thank you.
Anything else, Council?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Are they planning on paving this summer?
Yes, they are planning on paving this summer in typical DOT fashion. I mean, it's a magic 8 ball for when that might happen. The contractor is obligated to work with DOT and work within their schedule to make sure that we're getting these raised up. Not too far prior to the paving, but not after the
Not
paving
after the
either.
paving, no. Great.
No, they're just filling the holes with cold patch now, 6 inches above the level of the road in anticipation of getting it done.
Bill's gonna need to go around. Anything else? You all set, Doc?
Yep.
Anything else, Council?
More of a budget
Yeah.
question, but there's 41 manholes, we know they cost about $2,500 a piece. Why didn't we carry more in the 24 budget to cover this?
Well, and I'll leave the budget question to Jacob if I could.
Well, yeah, I mean, we knew we had $100,000 in the sewer reserve, and so to try and compensate for this project is we put in 40.
Okay.
So-
And to be
We
completely
were
honest,
planning on pulling it out of there as a reserve anyway. But the plan all along.
and to be completely honest, we weren't sure how many manholes we were really going to find as we kind of went through here, so it's on the map. Some of the maps that we're dealing with, we update, and this is the reason why, because we find a manhole or there wasn't one there to begin with, so. Now everything will be up to grade and be real easy to count.
So we didn't have that quantified before the budget.
To my knowledge, we found at least a couple, we were in the ballpark of the 40, but to be able to narrow it down
Right.
to exactly the number to bid out, we made sure that we went out ourselves and counted every
Yeah.
single one.
Okay, thank you. You all set there?
Also.
Anything else, Council? All right, very well, thank you.
Thank
Your time, appreciate it. So, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-53, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 24-53 passes. Thanks again for your time with that. Nicole, resolution 24-54, please.
Resolution approving $10,000 as the cash match for Pittsfield Heart and Soul Committee Seeds Grant.
I'll look for a motion to council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2454.
Sorry.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Anyone in the audience, anything you wish to speak to, or shall I go for open it up?
You really want me to get up and?
No, I don't. I'm just being polite.
After the discussion of manhole covers?
Well, I thought a natural segue. Ooh,
Okay.
that's,
was rough.
wow,
Just
sorry.
remember I knew where this-
Yes, you do. Do you wish to speak on this, Jane, before I go for questions? Anything you want to clarify for this?
Well, I think, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, provide an update.
No, go.
Oh, for crying out loud, somebody do something here.
Go ahead.
We have 2 other people in the room that are on the committee, so they can.
You're so good at it.
You're right.
Yeah.
there.
You're so good at it.
Yeah, back to the manhole discussion. We have had our first meeting. And I think the committee is well represented on the community. And there's gonna be a lot of cooperation and support, I think. Shortly after this happens, Natalia and Lindsay are working, putting the budget together, or the application together for the grant. So we're gonna have 10,000 from the grant and 10,000, so we'll have a total of 20. They've sent us a lot of information in terms of what other communities have done. I've made a couple of phone calls to places out of state just to kind of see what kinds of experiences they've had. And without a doubt, people really like the direction of the support that they get from the company, from the community, heart and soul. So once this gets started, hopefully we'll have some additional members come on the committee. And we'll have some projects outlined and everything. Thank goodness we don't have to do the manhole covers, so we can look for something else, but your turn.
Yeah, so just to let people know what it is if we are awarded the $10,000 that we received first, we'll go for training our core group with someone who's an expert in this area regarding how to bring basically your community back to life. So this program has been very successful in other communities. We've touched base with them, we're learning from them. And just like Jan said, we're almost finished with the application, so we'll be submitting that once he gives his blessing. And we are putting the final touches on our budget. Our second meeting is scheduled for the 20th of this month, where we're gonna start listing out who our community partners will be. So we'll keep this group updated along the way.
I think I was really very impressed with the discussion of and how we're going to get started. We're probably going to need some Post-it notes because we're going to do a thing on the wall. But you know, at any point in time, anybody's welcome to attend these meetings. But there will be some formal and official meetings for community relations. So they had something.
We did sit down and figure out, like, you know, with the grant, there's so many ways that you can spend, and I like the fact that we are taking all of the money pretty much and not having to put it into training, because we have such a good group, and we can actually put it into the program.
And they're talking with other communities. There will be additional funds that they raise, but they come from different groups in the town, so they have nothing to do with the council. I mean, there'll be a lot of businesses have given monies to improve certain aspects and so forth. My guess is, looking at this, I see this as probably, you guys may be disagreeing a little bit here, but this is gonna be at least a 2 or a 3 year project. It's gonna take a little while getting it off the ground. But once it gets started, once people begin to see, and this is what's happened in other towns, once they begin to see some things happen, it really does catch fire and it moves along really well. So.
Excellent. So do you mind holding on just in case there are other questions come up? Please, thank you. If you need to. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this? All right, I will close the public input. Council, any questions or comments on this?
I have mixed feelings about this. I think it's a wonderful project. I think it's very worthwhile. I think it's an admirable group of people that have stepped up to do all this. I don't think it's ready for town funding, or maybe even appropriate for the town to put funding into it. I think that if we did not learn lessons from the community television project, then we have missed a really big opportunity there. You know, we gave money to an organization, and then there was no reporting requirement, there was no any follow-up or anything like that, and the council at the time was very, very upset about that. And I think that if we don't have parameters set up ahead of time for how the money is going to be used, how it's going to be spent, what are the rules for requesting it, and those types of things set up, you're talking about taxpayers' money to just go to a program that to this point has not brought a budget for the project, has not brought items from the projects forward. I think it's too early to be doing that. And by reading the information in here, you don't require the match in order to put the application in. You need to show that you have your match in place before they fund it. So you can put your application in and do all the meetings and everything. get it in, get involved with the organization, build more community buy-in, maybe donations to show the council that there is buy-in from the community before this happens. But I would like to see the project a little further along before committing taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. Anyone else on the council? All
I
right,
mean,
good.
I think if we're not the ones to put our mouth and money behind it, then who is, right? So you want to see the heart and soul of the community involved, and I say it starts in this room. So if we're not the ones willing to say, let's do this and let's move on, then who are we? And we have plenty of organizations in this town that we fund without oversight, without visibility. I mean, I'll name one, Pete. Anybody want to talk about that? That's community funded. So.
Town is not fun people.
It's not gonna be a debate.
So at the end of the day, we have plenty of these organizations, and I think that if we're trying to stifle this stuff here, it's counterproductive to what these people are trying to do for our community. And I think, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you have 100% of my support. And I hope that we get a chance to vote on this and make it happen, so.
Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, anyone else in council?
I kind of look at the volunteers as an in-kind match, because that takes a certain amount of effort. You guys aren't getting paid for it, right? So the fact that people are willing to put their time and effort into it, that's an in-kind match. Not that that's a necessarily a requirement, but if people want to put in the effort, it's not necessarily dollars, but time means something. There is value to that. So I certainly appreciate what you guys are doing.
All right, well said. Anyone else on the council? All right, very well. Hearing none, a sense ready to vote. Thank you, Jan. All in favor of resolution 24-54, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, I shall poll the council. We will start with Craig.
Aye.
Heather,
Nay.
Dot,
Aye.
Natalia,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and I vote aye. I have 6-1. Resolution 24-54 passes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion pursuant to the chapter 2, section 123 of the administrative code that we suspend council rules and add resolution 2455 to the agenda for the council's consideration.
Okay, for reference, could you read not officially, but for reference, so we know what we're acting on. Just read the top line then.
Yep, so resolution 2455 is accepting the quote from Northeast Paving in the amount of $85,260 for a 2024 paving project.
All right, so we have a motion to suspend the rules. Sorry. Right,
Somebody.
I know. We have a motion. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Moved and seconded to suspend the council rules for chapter 2, section 123 of the admin code. Any questions or comments from the council on this? I'm sorry, the audience. Very well, close the public input. Council, any questions or comments on this? Very well, hearing none, I sense for every the vote. All those in favor of the motion pursuant to chapter 2, section 120 for the admin code to suspend the council rules and add resolution 2455 to the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. That motion has passed. Nicole, if you will, please, resolution 24-55.
Resolution accepting the quote from Northeast Paving, excuse me, in the amount of $85,260 for 2024 paving projects.
I look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2455.
Second.
Moving and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Before we go to public input, Donnie, can you give a 2 or 3 sentence update on what we're talking about here?
Yeah,
Please.
Don Shue, Public Works Director. The expedition of time and value of the town's money for the 2024 $100,000 paving. We have our 2023 streets being ground and paved by this company. I had approached them about the ability to do a bid for our 2024 streets, and they've got $60 million worth of work lined up, asking if they could extend this paving into 2024 and give me pricing. Not only have they decided that they would give us 2 days to do the 2024 paving, but they're coming in at $122.50 a ton, which is last year's price. And for the sake of time and moving equipment and putting this out to bid is gonna cost us time and money. The streets that I have proposed are gonna finish off a couple of neighborhoods other than one street. And one's gonna tie in Pelcoma to the state work that's gonna be done to the top of Pelcoma. It's gonna save you probably $60,000 or $70,000, and it's gonna get you probably another 1,000 feet of paving done versus going out to bid at a later date. I think it's a no-brainer. They're here, they're trying to expedite the work. I'll also tell the council that our Higgins Road paving from last year, I caught a mistake. They said it was 1,000 tons to do this portion of the Higgins Road that we had done. I found 450 tons, the math was wrong. Good thing I paid attention to math class. So our paving is gonna be extended more than a mile. It's gonna tie in right to the paving from 2019 after the corners. So we're gonna have a bunch of paving done this year. I think we're tying up some neighborhoods, and I think this is a no-brainer. This is gonna save us a bunch of time and money. So I appreciate you.
And the $100,000 out of the budget, it's already.
It's already been approved, and that's leaving us 15,000 for potential things if we need to do something with Birchwood. Or if we get the RFP and get culvert line on Sebastian Street, we can do that piece too, so.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. If you want to hold on a second, just in case someone has a question, anyone in the audience have a question on this? Resolution 2455. Very well, close the public input. Council, questions or comments?
So my understanding, we're 4 additional streets are being done this year.
Yes, and it's gonna tie in with those neighborhoods down there, so it's gonna be, we'll be able to give timeframes. And I spent probably 15 hours looking at the infrastructure. So those streets have got good infrastructure as well, so we're not, hopefully, I don't have a crystal ball, we're not gonna be digging a new big. It's one of my pet peeves.
I just think it's fantastic. I know at the beginning of the year, during our last year in budget discussions, we were told that money wasn't worth anything. And it seems to be worth 4 streets in this town. That's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you for making that happen. That is absolutely awesome.
Anything else, Council? You're a hard act to follow, Craig. All right, here and on, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 24-55, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 24-55 passes. And for the record, I didn't say a word about Sibley Pond Road. You notice
Oh, you
that?
got a road up there?
Not really. We do it only because of him and his men. All right, so thank you all very much. So let's move on to number 10, the discussion items. The first one is fireworks ordinance, and Councilor Mark Goldsky, you have something that you'd like to discuss on that?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. This topic has been tossed around for years, apparently. In many cities and towns around the state, around the country. I certainly had interest in this vis-a-vis living in a rural area. The effects on farm animals as well as wildlife. The effects of loud noises on pets, in the town, as well as potential for injuries. I'll admit that when I was a kid, I enjoyed, fireworks as much as the next one. But when I was a kid, 100 years ago, like Jan, we basically went to the firework displays put on by the towns, and they were controlled environments. And nowadays it's different, it's, every person to himself. I think, in view of the fact that, as a physician, who's, been in the ER, on several 4th of Julys, New Year's and other holidays, I can bear witness to the potential injuries, that can occur. And I think that, a lot of them, are unnecessary. So in the interest of public safety, I spoke with Jacob last week. And actually Jason, Deputy Mayor had done some, work as well. And, discovered that there was a document presented by the ordinance committee, back in 21. That apparently, for one reason or another, was never brought to a vote or public hearing, as far as I'm aware. And I would really like that this come forward to whatever's necessary, review it, make sure it meets the letter of the law as it's written today. Make sure that we're in order. Basically, I was planning on just having it as discussion to fill out, what the council feels about this. And if it meets the letter of the law, then perhaps bring it to a public hearing and a vote, in the next month or so. So that's basically what I had to say, and I'm just kind of interested in how others in the room, both the audience and the council, feel about this.
Who was on the ordinance committee?
It's me, that was me, Heather, and I think Pete.
Was Brenda?
No, who was on it now?
Oh, on it now?
Yeah,
I don't know
I
that.
think,
I think it's Howard,
I can look back.
Eric.
I think that could be worthy of the first meeting.
We went
Do we have a
Well,
copy of that?
process of
yeah, so-
developing an order.
Yeah, in 2021, the ordinance committee went through the entire process. It was ready for council's review.
and
It didn't come to council review, but it's still at that point. I think at this point, I would just have maybe the chief of police, maybe the chief of the fire department. Make sure it's still applicable.
Actually, we
And
should
then-
have the current ordinance committee, give a once over on it. Because we're talking about ordinance that was presented by, several years ago by different people. I just want to make sure it's still current and pertinent, then, the ordinance committee decides to, I believe, chief, has some input he'd like to have, and certainly, the fire chief.
The ordinance committee now is Mayor Chinquette, Councilor Saucier, and Councilor Markowski.
I think, if I remember right, we went through the ordinance process at the committee level. We brought it to the council, and the council said, yes, let's have a hearing on it. But because it's an ordinance change that involves publishing and the advertising and everything else, we said, let's set it aside until we have other ordinance changes to bundle it together, and then have one advertising for things. And then with everything else going on, it just never got through the rest of that process.
So Jacob, could we resurrect that? Could we generate some kind of packet and, send it out at least to the three of us, and if we need to meet to discuss, we can, then we can make a recommendation, bring it to the council the next available opportunity.
I can do that.
Could we do
Do you
that?
want me to put it on as a first reading at the next meeting?
Well, I'd like to have the ordinance committee look at it first, because that's our responsibility to, review it and make sure it passes the common sense test, and then defend or explain when it does come to, council, either to council or audience.
You would
It's
probably
good.
send it to them ahead of time, and then have like a
Howard,
committee meeting like 15 minutes before the council
Yep.
meeting, and then just let the council know, like,
Yep.
this is what we want to present or not.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have the ordinance committee,
If you
do that.
Before 4th of July, I'm assuming.
Any,
Howard's good.
yep. Any, comments, anyone? Doc, anything else?
no,
All right, very well.
We have written policy, so that won't be anything. We'll just send that, I'll send it out tomorrow.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, we have Pittsfield Community Theater on the list here. Who wishes to speak on that?
Well, that was an item identified at the beginning of the year as, as a priority item to the council.
Mhm.
And I guess I am just looking for guidance and direction as to what avenue the council would like me to take.
Okay, let me start off by saying that I was a proponent for selling it before, and I was under the impression that there was a possibility of an investment entity that would have that building and perhaps several more on Main Street, hopefully to segue into the whole PPI project. I've heard nothing more about that. I don't know if there's anything outstanding. that we would want to consider, whether or not we put the theater on the market, but, I would be willing to reconsider putting that on the market, maybe setting a price and actively selling it, maybe reaching out to the previous, potential buyer, see if they still have an interest. At least advertise that it can be active, if that's what the council wishes to do, so that's my 2 cents worth. I'll welcome any other feedback from the council.
I do think that, likewise, I'm a proponent of selling the building. Or giving it away. Or even tearing it down. The condition of the building and the condition of the building next to it are deteriorating quickly. We have inspections, we still have insurance on it, but I don't think that our insurance company is gonna let that stand much longer. But we need to think about like how we can move the community forward, and if you stand, I went to the bank today and I came out of Bangor Savings Bank. And you look at that whole slate of buildings there and it looks like there's absolutely nothing. Like there was no businesses, it doesn't even look like the lights on in any something. It's not exactly a welcoming sight. People from up in town. So I think whatever we can do to move forward and dispose of the building one way or another would be in the best interests of the town as far as a liability standpoint. And as far as economic opportunity and trying to get something going downtown, it's not gonna happen if we retain ownership of that building.
If I may reply to one point you had said, if we sell the building as is, it becomes taxable property. If we tear it down, we have an empty lot on Main Street, we get no income from. And potential for selling that, have someone build something else is gonna be a lot less than if we sell the building as an entity. Just my 2 cents worth. If we can sell it, we now have a taxable property on the books. Regardless of ownership or the possibility or potential for the buildings. So I think we need to consider that. So I'm thinking the council wants to put a resolution on the next meeting to discuss marketing it, selling it. Discussing possibly entertaining a real estate agent. Getting a value from them and see what the market is, and then come up with a price and sell as we had before, advertised.
It makes sense to go back to the same realtor. They have all of the information and we wouldn't be starting from scratch.
No, I think we probably look at something a little bit more dynamic, or someone local. I'd like to look at somebody local. I have no one in mind, but I think we ought to reconsider if it's a town thing, but. I mean, we got no movement on before with that last real estate agent. My opinion.
Well, there were showings. I mean, whoever the realtor is,
Okay.
they're always gonna they're all gonna advertise it in the
Right,
same spot.
Right, but we can have that discussion item if we want to make this a resolution.
I think we need to kind of, go back to the drawing board with it, with respect to, you know, we've kind of let it slide over the past year or so. And said, you know, wait till next year, and I think this is the year that we need to decide what
Mhm.
we want to do with it. You know, I think that, it does become a taxable property if somebody else buys it. Part of the issue and concern that I would have would be, how does it feed into the long-term plans for the town and for Main Street? You know, and I think it's probably too early to know exactly that, but I think we need to start somewhere.
Right. Anything else, council?
Do we know the current status of like the structural integrity of the building? Is the roof was an issue years ago, can't imagine it's gotten better.
Any degradation over the winter that you noticed?
We had some degradation last year, it's been repaired. So this is the time to
Okay.
be doing something with it before it gets to that point again.
Right. I mean, my concern selling it is somebody buys it and they don't follow through on what they say they're gonna do. And then we have another eyesore on Main Street that we can't enforce anything. We have to bring them to court. We know that extensive process and how expensive that can be. I think we look into the option of like a lease to own or some kind of an agreement with the town maintains possession of it until they follow through. And all their upgrades are still like relevant and, you know, if they don't follow through to the completion, then we have an asset that's at least a little better. But I know in other situations, town entities have done a lease to own type thing. And it's worked out fairly well, so I don't know, that's my concern, is that we have another building we can't enforce anything on.
But we're still spending how much money a year, you know, for. You know,
Yeah, no,
20 grand or whatever it might be, you know, I understand your point, you know, I think that, you know, if somebody comes forward and, you know, that shows some interest, you know, I think that the possibility of them having, you know, coming forward with a business plan, with some, you know, dates and times, you know, to be, you know, this needs to be done by a certain point, you know, I think that, I think basically might be more appropriate,
with,
at least a business plan.
with proof of financial capability to actually renovate the place.
I'm gonna jump in here real quick before I blow a gasket. We're going down the same road we did a year and a half, 2 years ago. We had the same arguments, the same illogical logic of trying to work a deal, thinking that building is viable for long term for the town. I think the town needs to sell it, get out from underneath it, no lease to own, no long-term agreement, sell it, put it on the tax basis. And if it becomes a non-viable property like any other property in this town, we go through the process, have the CEO involved, the whole thing that it's on Main Street. That does not change how the rules should be handled in this town. I think we have an opportunity to get out from underneath a very significant liability in that building. I think the only reason we've been lucky because we have been watching it as we have. The original structure was well done back in the 20s, so we're talking well over 100 years old building on a flat roof. I think we should consider setting a price, selling it, and moving on.
Mike.
My thoughts.
No, I want to, you rebutted what I just said, so this is a discussion item.
It is, and I discussed it.
Yes, you did, and so did I. My opinion is what it is, like,
And so is it mine.
so I'm entitled to that opinion, and
And
Just
so,
because it
and
doesn't
so am I,
agree-
and we have another council that needs to speak.
okay,
Craig.
So here's what I think. I think that we have 7 very opinionated individuals sitting here. And I think we've had some good opportunity last year. I was a big proponent of the lease to buy program then, and we kind of let that fall through. I think we vote on a committee at our next meeting. 2 counselors and a member from the community. And they are the ones that actually review the proposals before they come here. Because what we do is we get in this kind of shouting match and it gets us absolutely nowhere. And I think that we take, again, 2 members of council, 1 member of community. Let's get it done. They're the go-between. They take all the proposals, they vet the business plan and all of that, because last year, that's where we fell down. Is what was proposed to us never came through with the business plan. And I say that we do that, and that's the only way that we move this forward. And let the customer, the potential customer, make the proposal to us. Because they may want a lease option. They may want to have some cover, or they may want to buy it straight out. But to your point a minute ago, Mike, what I don't want is a real estate agent that every time that they bring a proposal to us, it's at half the price that we've reduced it to already. Right, because that's what was starting to happen when I first got on this council. Every proposal was for half, we need to drop it another half. So I propose that we create a committee. By next meeting, vote on it, and then we start moving forward. That committee picks the realtor based on whoever wants to do it, right? Let them talk about what they can do for us. They vet it, and they vet all offers. So that's where I think we go, because 7 people trying to decide this on who thinks what's a valid business plan is not gonna work. We're gonna still own this building in the same shape it's in, or worse, in 10 years.
Good.
So
All set. I want to go back to Jason. My apologies, please. Floor is yours.
I'm good.
Heather.
I think that we need to like realign what we're thinking about here. If we're talking about selling the building, we sell the building, period. You don't sell a property and then get to tell the person that bought the property what to do with it. That's not how people buy property. It's not how sales work. The council should not be abdicating the responsibility of disposing of a piece of town property to another committee or another group of individuals. It's the council's responsibility to do that, and we shouldn't be advocating that. Peak was originally designated by the council to handle this. They did vet people. They did find and make a recommendation for the Realtor. That process was already done, and the council endorsed that process by voting to go with the Realtor that they did. So this process has kind of already been done, and people were brought to the council, and the council at the time did not handle the situation very well. And if we are going in it with the same ideas behind it and the same goals behind it, you're gonna have the same result. And so we need to rethink the process on that. Just give it to a Realtor and then have them bring someone with a yes or no, and that's where it stops. They're either gonna buy the building or they're not gonna buy the building for whatever price. And honestly, the building is not worth the price that we were asking for at any point in time,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean,
Honestly, it's, for the amount of work that has to be put into it, that building was not worth what the asking price was. It should have been much lower to begin. And we should have just lowered it, and we would have had a lot more people
Right.
optioning for it if it didn't have such a big price tag on it. And that was an option on the table, and the council declined to do that last year, year before. So there's things that we can do, and I think that we, as a council, can handle it. It's just a matter of rethinking and reimagining kind of like what that process looks like and simplifying it a lot. We're not going to get a business plan from a buyer. There's a lot of personal and business strategy information in a business plan, and it's not even appropriate to ask for a business plan. You can certainly ask somebody's goals and have that be informed in your decision, but saying you have to bring me a built-in business plan to sell a building is not how I think that we should approach it. And if we do sell it, it does become a taxable item, which is a good thing. But we do have our codes, and we have a very capable full-time code officer now to keep an eye on that. And so if things are not being done the way they need to be, we have those rules, as Howie mentioned, to fall back on. And so we have processes in place. We have people in place to make those processes work. And I think that we need to let that system work. And it starts with listing it with a Realtor.
Yes, Craig.
I just, and I, Heather's point of view, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. I just think that, I think you're right, requesting a business to come and sit in an open forum in a council meeting on video and asking them to put out their business plan that can 2 weeks later be copied and approved by the next business is wrong. And we're never gonna get anybody to do that. I remember the steps that we had last year of trying to go through that process to get the business plan out, and nobody was willing to do it, and I don't blame them. That's their intellectual property. So that's why a committee is so important. Somebody, a group of people that we trust to vet that process in a small, more confined, more contained, more intimate setting that allows for those details to put forward. And you're right, we can't, after somebody purchases it, necessarily tell them what they can or can't do inside of our current codes with their business. What we can do is vet out their intentions before they purchase it. And that's where I think that we need to go. And I agree with you on the Realtor. Where I do say is, we didn't set the price, I don't believe. The real estate agent that we hired to do that is the one that brought us the too high of a value. So
But we approved it.
yeah, understood. And that's why I think that there are too many emotions. We just found that here 2 minutes ago, right? I mean, we have emotions high on what happens in this town. I think we all do, and we get in our own way. So a much smaller, simpler setting is the only way I think this gets done. And I just think we just continue to bat it down this hall, because that's where we're gonna be.
the council should not give up their responsibility as a council to work on this. Setting it to 2 or 3 people, so I would make a suggestion that we set it to a resolution for next meeting to discuss putting it up for sale. Plain and simple, we'll start with that. What are your thoughts, council?
I mean, we can do that. I'll tell you right now, we have no office the council making the decision the entire way. If the council has the final decision, absolutely. Based on the recommendation, we do everything based on the
The
recommendation.
council has the responsibility to make this decision.
We do it.
It's not in question.
We just talked about whether or not
So
we're
what-
going to have fireworks on the 4th of July at a public house, and we want to put that in front of a committee, yet we're gonna let the sale of one of the most large.
We
anchor
decided
buildings on-
to put it to resolution, Craig. We didn't make any decisions.
But
We
we
put
want
it
a
to resolution so that we can have a discussion.
But we
This is
want the
all we're doing.
recommendation of a
We're
committee
having
on
a
whether
discussion to put it to
fireworks
discussion.
in somebody's backyard, give me a freaking break.
Enough.
Hey, whatever.
That's enough.
Whatever. That's fine. That's fine.
Can we, as a council, discuss what our options are with the theater? Because that I don't even know. Selling, tearing down, leasing is what I've heard. And I know people get emotional because people care a lot about that building. It's a huge building in the middle of our home, Main Street, so we all care about it. But what I'd love to talk about first is what are our options?
We can name any option, but what we're talking about here is not actionable until we have a resolution which we can work with.
Right. Right.
So we can talk from now until midnight. We come up with a dozen different options. I'm saying, let's set a resolution so we can start putting some teeth behind it, start putting rubber to the road and start somewhere.
I agree,
Because we're
start
at, you
somewhere.
know, to Craig's point, it's emotional because I didn't agree with what happened last time. My emotions came out and I apologize to you, Craig. I apologize to you,
No.
Jason, and I apologize to everyone here. I should have been a bit more professional at, but I remember the show we went through last time and how it ended up, and it's starting exactly the same way, and we need to avoid that. It's a building. Let's stop making it the icon. It's not the Taj Mahal. It's a taxable property. That's what we need to look at. Where it is, it's unfortunate. But we should not look at that building as town-owned, any different than any other town-owned property in town, period. So let's start from the basic and let's have a discussion that we can act upon instead of just throwing back ideas. I mean, so I guess I shanghaied your time here. My apologies, but I'm saying is that we can come up with a bunch of different options. We can come up with several different resolutions. I'm just saying, let's start with the basic. Do we want to talk about selling it? Period. That's it.
Selling
That's
is an option.
all I wanted to talk about.
Let's lay the options out, I would say, selling and the other.
So if
option.
we decide we don't want to sell it, we vote it down and we come up with another resolution for the next meeting. We're not in a hurry here. We have insurance coverage on that and we're not worrying about snow load on it anymore.
Are we worried about snow? load?
Snow load? It's
After the next seven.
it's the first week of May.
You know, it's gonna take a while to sell that building, and the longer you wait to list it.
My point is, we're talking about, we're not going into Christmas and having to get rid of it because we're talking about snow. I mean, there was that simple point.
If you wait until then you're not gonna get rid of it. I would like to see a resolution on the next council meeting to list it with a realtor. Period. We can decide if they bring us somebody that's a straight out buyer, we can vote that up, yes or no.
So
If they bring us somebody that says, I would like to lease it, we can vote that up, yes or no. Everything, it's like the gateway to dispose of that building is to list it with a realtor,
exactly what was brought up.
period.
Any other questions on that, council? Any other options, any other suggestions? Constructive.
Is tearing it down a viable option?
Why would-
Is the land that it sits on more valuable than the building that's there? Is it cheaper for, if you sold the land, is it cheaper for somebody to come in and build something brand new versus renovating a building that's so out of date and so dilapidated and has so many issues? I know, we're looking at like the the Main Street project and some of the the renderings for that kind of showed a vacant spot, right? And if that theater was not there, you would then have potentially a spot for some of those things to take place, so. I mean, I understand it costs money to tear down and it's not taxable at that point, it's gonna cost us money and not make us money, but in the long run, is it more appealing to a business entity to have a vacant spot
Exactly.
with a brand new, nice, state-of-the-art building than it is, the theater? I know it's probably, not maybe, the most popular opinion, but like Mike said,
It's another option.
just a building. And
It's not popular.
Well, it's just a building probably covered with asbestos too. It was built in the twenties, and so we gotta keep that in mind, so it's not gonna be a simple tear down.
But Mike, the light that we're shedding on this, or our perspective, is that this building is a piece of crap that has asbestos in it, it's already fall down, won't take the snow load. You know what? I'll buy it. I definitely want this thing. Says no one ever, because this is the light that we shed on it. I mean, look at the location. I mean, it's the perfect spot.
We had a buyer last time, $20,000.
The building, yeah, Mike, and that was, coulda, shoulda, woulda, doesn't matter, it's gone. I'm not gonna live in the past, and you shouldn't either, it's not good. for
I'm
you.
not living in the past, that's why I'm trying to move forward with this area.
Can I talk for a second?
Certainly.
I haven't said anything. So we should look at the location on Main Street, and I'm with Jay. I mean, I think you gotta look at the idea. I look at that and say, what can I do with that? Well, half it's already built, and when it's built, and it has a slanted floor, and it has an old heating system and a crappy roof, and there's a lot of negatives there. But I think you gotta look at the option. That's not a bad option. I think it takes your liability away. I think it's super unpopular for me to say it. People aren't gonna like it, but I think at the end of the day, what are you gonna do with it? What's the most creative idea we have here?
We need to consider all the options.
Again, though, are we the best group to create those ideas? Or a committee of some of us and some town business leaders, the ones that actually should be the visionaries behind what could happen there, right? Because there are parts of those types of projects all over, actually be the best choice for that. And if it's knock it down, then that's what the committee comes back with as a recommendation. And then we as the council still make that final decision. We still own control of the destiny of that building. But we do it through an informed recommendation, experts, not of. I'm not an expert on what to do with that building. No way. The emotional piece says keep it, make it what it was again. Not gonna happen probably, right?
So if I may interject here, why don't we agree to disagree from this point on, and let's continue this discussion next time as a discussion item again. Because there's a lot more that needs to be going on with this. There's a lot of various opinions. We have 7 councils, 7 different opinions. So why don't we, to move on and give us time to think about it specifically, let's put on this discussion item the next meeting. Can we at least do that? Can we agree on that?
Business leaders that you would like to have input.
Can we put it as a discussion item first? Council in agreement?
You want to have
Craig?
a discussion or a resolution?
A discussion. We can't come up with a resolution. We're gonna be here another 8 hours. We're not gonna come up with a resolution.
So we're gonna do this again next time?
I think the very idea that we have 7 counselors and 7 different ideas, I think it needs more discussion. Because we can't come up with something simple, just do we talk about whether we sell it or not? That was it, plain and simple, but we can't agree to that. So let's just continue on a discussion item that'll give us all opportunities in the next couple of weeks to come up with some ideas. We can flesh out the idea of possibly tearing down as a vacant lot. We can flesh out the idea of maybe a committee. We can flesh out the idea of just selling it outright. We can flesh out the idea, what is it gonna be on a tax roll as compared to an empty lot? Is a empty lot on Main Street where it's located viable? We have a lot of questions to answer before we do take steps to do this. So I just say, let's just make it a discussion item for the next meeting.
Can I just ask Jacob to kind of gather some of those things for us? What is the tax roll now if it were a taxable building? What does that look like? Just so we have some information for the next meeting.
Yep,
What's
exactly.
the tax what would the tax liability be for a business in that building? What, if you can get some ballpark tear down costs, which would be wild guess because it'd be tough. And then, I guess those are the two big questions I have is,
Yeah.
what's the tax?
Yeah, and that'll go to the two various ideas,
That'll
we
give
have,
us- and is that
maintain,
based on
selling,
current
or,
discussion?
call it a real estate.
Kind of roughly what it could sell for. I know you said the number last year was kind of wonky, but
Well, I mean,
the starting with.
yeah, the two people that came didn't really come through the realtor so much. But I think definitely having a conversation with the realtor, Lawrence Galvegan, that we had it listed, I think it was Realty of Maine.
It was Allied.
The Allied,
Yeah.
asking them what their recommendation would be. That we would have like three distinct options. You
Mhm.
list
Yeah.
it for this much, and really, not what it should be listed for, but realistically what it might sell for. What
So,
it would cost to tear it down, and then what would the tax roll be
Yeah.
as a building, and then this is an empty lot.
so if we get the information, could you send that out so we can chew on it a little bit?
Yep.
Doc, what are your thoughts? You wanna continue on? Jason? I'll set discussion on next time. Garrett? Natalia? Okay. Jacob, let's put on discussion item for next meeting, please. All right. So 2024 paving projects,
We're all set. I put that on there prior to receiving the quote from Northeast.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I'll-
perfect. More ink. Okay, very well. So I will go to public comment. Anyone in the audience have anything they wish to speak about? Questions or comments? Yes, please, sir. The floor is yours.
Right, my wife's gonna speak. Mike Hodgins, 128 Maple Terrace. I know several of you, Jacob, sorry, I haven't mentioned yet. And actually, I was, I guess, surprised a little bit that the paving projects were passed over that quickly. Because I think really why we're here, my wife Michelle and I, was to hear a little bit about the paving plan, if there is one. And what I understood earlier was that there was a vote to spend, I think, $85,000 for some paving. I wasn't even sure what that was. But I just wanted to talk, I guess, generally about the paving plan to the extent there is one. Talk about a few problems. So again, I live on Maple Terrace, up in Birchwood Terrace. I look at the street in front of my house, and I know everybody, wants to talk about their streets, and this actually isn't about me so much, but if you look at the street in front of the house, it looks like it's been carpet bombed by someone, bombing an airstrip. This year was really bad. It's been deteriorating for years, and I can go back to June of 21 when I had some professional friends of mine who showed up to go to an event with me. One's an engineer up in Bangor, two are contractors. And the first word out of their mouth when they got my driveway in large four-wheel drive trucks was, "What the hell is wrong with the roads in your town?" And that was 21, and that was my street. It's been a disaster, and I know you all know that because you've all been dealing with it. I've been asked several times, should we skim coat it? Should we do, what should we do? And I know you've got tough decisions, so believe me, I'm not complaining about my street. The reason I'm saying that though is because it's frankly kind of an embarrassment. And it's not just my street. If you go down, I would say Hamilton Terrace, parallel to the golf course, and I see a lot of people nodding heads, where Stevie Martin built a couple houses and sold both of those. It's a bad area, doesn't get a lot of sunlight. That part of Hamilton looks just as bad as Maple Terrace. When you come down Arbor Lane, which I do every day to make that sort of little chicane down at the end of Arbor and turn down Maple. I think we probably had several ball joints that have been replaced from our various cars from that intersection because the culverts are awful. You look in front of Birchwood Terrace, in front of Duke Adams and the Louders house, used to be Desjardins house. That's just kind of ridiculous. So we're trying to figure out what the plans are. I understand that everybody says, I've heard the story, we've got to repair the sewer up in that neighborhood, various other neighborhoods. Can't do that. I'm not about wasting money. to skim coat anything that you're gonna dig up. It doesn't make any sense. But the question we have frankly is, are we ever gonna hear a plan for when this is gonna happen? And Councilor Jester, it's interesting you talk about Madawaska Ave, which I drive up and down every weekend when I go the back way towards my parents. And I drive down the wrong side of the road, and I understand that's a state issue. I just drive wherever I want.
Right.
Because that road has been ridiculous for 3 or 4 years. And again, I'm not just talking about Maple Terrace, which affects me, which probably impacts my ability if I want to sell my house right now. Frankly, folks, I'm gonna pave in front of my house and you guys can deal with it later if I ever had to sell it. Because I don't think I could sell it for what the house is worth because that street is so bad. And again, I won't call it North Main Street, but Madawaska, you know, that's been that way for years, and I know we're waiting on, you know, the state and this and that. But at some point, we gotta put a plan together. We're talking about grants. We've deferred maintenance for 20 odd years. We can get grants forever. And we're still not gonna have enough money to do everything we need to do. So at some point, some plan has to be put together to spend some money to fix whatever needs to be fixed and pave it over. So that's the roads in general. But while I've got your attention, one other issue, my property, same neighborhood, just, and I want to be respectful because I know you're all working hard to try and figure this out. But the street behind my house, because we have 2 lots on either side, is Hemlock Terrace. And frankly, you shouldn't hear much about Hemlock. Hemlock's pretty good. It's raised, it's elevated, got big ditches. Really doesn't need a whole lot of work, but Council Hall knows this. You know, I sent him pictures. I sent him pictures of Maple the other day. I sent him pictures of about 2 weekends ago when I spent most of Saturday and Sunday picking up pavement off my back lawn. 5 wheelbarrow loads of just pavement coming off my property. And I can show you the pictures. It's probably 4 feet wide where the the plowing crew has stripped the edge of the pavement back over the last couple of years. And it probably started some when S&G was paving. They tend to like to wing it back so far. And somebody needs to educate the the plowing crew. I plowed a bit when I was a kid. When it's dark, you can't really see a lot, but dropping the edge of a blade to go down over a bank where you've got a street that has 4 houses on it, that doesn't need to be a super highway, to peel all the pavement off. When we have bad roads to begin with and they're destroying the edge of the road, and literally I asked Jason, do you guys want your pavement back? Because it's all my lawn, 5 wheelbarrows. And that's a little bit of education for the people who are running the plows. And again, I respect them. It's not easy. It's dark, but it's kind of ridiculous. And I can tell you that when S&G was doing it, we had to replace a chain link fence. I just moved it. That cost me $3,500, I think, because they winged it back so far. The fence is 15 feet off the road. Just moved it on the other side of the Arbor Vitaes. And then Michelle will remember last spring, 75 or 80 10-foot Arbor Vitaes, which are probably $200 a piece at least, if not more. We just cut them all down and took them to the transfer station. Thanks for taking them. But that was probably another 10 grand because the way they plowed the street was to just bank all the snow as far as they possibly could for no real reason. So fences move, the shrubs are gone, but literally they're tearing the pavement off the edge of the road for really no reason. So kind of 2 different issues. 1 is deferred maintenance. 2 is a little bit of education for the folks who are doing the plowing, you know, leaving islands and all the intersections. I know we try to save money by having the town crew do it. And again, I respect these guys. You're out in the middle of the night. It's not easy, but at some point there's going to be some accountability for let's try to do it the right way. So all that being said, you know, a lot of issues out there. I just hope that we can come to some plan at some point to get some of the worst streets taken care of and move forward. Because it really, frankly, is a bit of an embarrassment having lived here for most of my 55 years, to have streets that look like this. It's not inviting to anybody. So I want to be a better town, and I don't usually come and gripe. And I'm really not griping now, just, I think as you're looking at paving plans, we've got to do a better job. So, thanks. I don't know what my time limit was.
No, you're right on, perfect timing.
That's,
All right.
that was my time limit.
No, you're good. All set?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, Catherine.
Yes, Catherine Ruth, very quickly. At the last council meeting, I noted that the recycling committee had reorganized and was now meeting again. And this worked out really well from that publicity because now we've got some new members, at least one new member and some interested parties. So I wanted to announce that the recycling committee set a meeting schedule for the second Thursday of each month this year at 6:00 p.m. in the town council chambers. So their next meeting will be this Thursday at 6:00 here in this room. They'll be working on their usual recycling, reuse, and reduce, and also putting together the information for the pre-grant for the upcoming community climate grant that will help the town to deal with climate issues to the best of our ability under some new funding that's available. And that grant will be due in November, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done beforehand. There'll be a community forum, discussions, and then a resolution. So they'll be doing the work to assist the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Anyone else? Yes, please.
I stayed through, I figured I'd give council a quick update for water and sewer. Wanted to let council know that we have found and hired the third person that was approved by council. Mr. Marcus Monty joined Oliver Associates and has been assigned to Pittsfield Water and Sewer. Marcus is a resident of Newport, has a young family, comes from a construction background, was hired approximately a month ago, has come in, hit the ground running. I would like to thank council very much for that. We're in a busy part of the season, and we're able to now handle the influx of dig safes that come in this time of year. We're staying out in front of, I'm sure you've seen that we've been out flushing lines. We're not running behind like we have previously with just two guys trying to run ragged and do all the things that we need to do. So he's getting up to speed very quickly. Wanted to let you folks know that that we do have that third person there, and we thank you very much. And we're looking to get a lot more accomplished and really start maintaining things on a more progressive level. Another update for you, the roof has been completed out at the lagoon. Hanover Brothers did an absolutely fabulous job, kept to the exact bid price that they provided. They not only put the gray metal roof on, but provided 160 linear feet of wrapped fascia as well. And we also just literally hot off the presses just before the meeting started tonight, got our reports back from the company that inspected the two water tanks, both at Grove Hill and Phillips Corner. So we'll be taking those into account and putting together some recommendations based on their recommendations. Those two inspections took place last week. So thank you very much.
All right, good news. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Very well, I'll close the public input and I will go to the council. Natalia, let's start with you, please.
I don't have a lot of comment. I agree with the desire to see, talk about, help put together a paving plan. I think it's critical. Like a lot of families in town, I've made several dual routes to Allen's home in recent months, and I almost like bust my tire every time I go. So I think that's a great suggestion, and I'd be happy to be a part of it. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Eric?
Nordward.
All right, Jason?
Yeah, I guess piggyback on, the need for the paving plan. I guess we all are pretty aware of it at this point. I've been talking about it for several years. I think we have all the information. Oliver's given us a nice report of water, sewer, conditions, we know the conditions of the roads, maybe updating that. And putting together a comprehensive plan so we can budget accordingly and not just kind of shoot from the hip on. You have $1 million here, $1 million there. I mean, it's used and it's used efficiently, or maybe not efficiently, but it's used and it's a good thing to do, but we need a better plan. And I think now is the time to start with that. I will say in the last 2.5 years, we put $2.6 million into roads. I think 15 years prior to that, there was less than $1 million. So we've done a lot. We know the need for it. We're trying to be respectful of the tax increases and meet the needs of all the other things, you know, the equipment that's falling apart, the buildings that are falling apart. We need to kind of balance all of that. I think we're doing a really good job. We're making headway, but it takes time and money, and I think a paving plan would go a long way to ensuring that our roads are better than the state's, which doesn't take much, but I'll say the roads coming into town that are state-owned aren't much better or any better than the roads that we have. So I'm proud of what we're doing, but we have a long way to go for sure. A couple other issues that residents have brought up. District 2 has a skunk issue that is never been like, I've lived in District 2 nearly my entire life, and other residents that have been there for 80 years, never seen a skunk issue. There's skunks everywhere apparently. So yeah, we can work together and try to fix that, because it's terrible.
They make the ring camera go off all the
The calls haven't been coming through.
Oh, it's an infestation, man. I know some lawns in that area. It's a train wreck.
You want skunks
but-
or grubs? Grubs are gone, you have no.
Yeah, I know that, yeah, maybe it's the root cause of the grubs, so, but anyway, that would be good. Also, well, I'll talk to Donnie afterwards about that, but what's going on with the excavator? That's something that was on. Are we gonna put that on next agenda to get that sold, or
We can do that.
at least see what we get, you know, if we can't sell it, we can't sell it, but no,
Did
see.
you already approve to sell it though?
And we really don't need to.
Oh, you don't need it?
We
Okay,
just
well,
need to advertise it.
okay, well, then maybe we can, yeah,
We'll
see what happens. That'd be great. Other than that, I guess good discussion item tonight. Everybody gets excited about the theater and, you know, the library. I'm good at getting people fired up on certain topics, but I think we just have to come to the discussion with an open mind and kind of, you know, weigh all our options and try to do what's best for the town. So might get people fired up, but that's all right. And that's all I got.
What's that? Doc?
No,
Heather?
I have a couple things. Mr. Hodges, is it Hodges?
Hodgins.
Hodges, thank you for coming tonight. And I am not sure, where is his property in relation to the Birchwood Terrace project? Is it just Birchwood Street that's being straightened out for the water sewer stuff, or is it the whole complex over there?
Your funding with Birchwood,
So the main lines there.
I'm not sure. It's just how it's gonna.
It does not include.
So it doesn't include any,
No.
so the paving and that'll be done over when the water and sewer are straightened out on Birchwood. It won't extend off of that to the other alcoves and other roads over there.
That is my understanding, the reason being that it's a holistic view of doing all of the assets below ground as well as above ground.
And do we have issues with our underground assets on those other roads? Or is it just that those
Being
main
that,
lines that,
And I'm speaking in general terms, I have not looked at this, but in general, all that entire neighborhood was put in roughly around the same time, so any issues that you have on Birchwood, I can adequately say that, or confidently say that you would have similar issues on the other portions, and being on digs in that neighborhood and finding the materials that we find up in there, I can also say that I would believe that the condition of the sewer line and water lines are similar to what the reason that we're replacing Birchwood.
So based on that, it sounds like where we need to start there is assessing that after we get Birchwood squared away and see if there's anything else out there that needs to be straightened out before we talk about paving the road. Like we have been trying to do, be proactive and do things in the right order. But I'm wondering if in the meantime, because the road is disintegrating so quickly, and this spring was terrible because it never really froze over the winter, everything was just kind of in flux. Is there a way that we can grind those roads down and just have them as gravel until we straighten out the water sewer under there and then go in as part of the paving plan?
I paid $7,000 a year in taxes. I don't want to live on it.
Oh, I understand that. It would be a temporary fix. I mean, if we have to go in and dig up a bunch of the road anyway to fix connections and inspections and all that, it might end up being most between the potholes and digging up to fix things. It might end up being most of the road end up being gravel anyway. But I completely agree with you. You know, it is very difficult to live on a road that has really poor condition. So I empathize very much. But I do think that we need to make sure that we're straightening out the underground stuff beforehand. And there may be ditching things that can be done to help with the water issues, to help with that as well. And then,
So can I just clarify, there's, I believe, a grant, Jason and I had talked the other day, that was the sewer. So is it only doing Birchwood Street, like,
it's that's the main line,
so
right?
that whole grant is being only spent on that? Because I was
That
under
was
the
my-
impression that there was a grant, it hadn't been determined quite how that project was gonna go.
That's the
That was my
federal,
mistake.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the federal designated funds, right? It's for.
Right.
Yeah. Cause it's the main line that feeds everything. The other thing that I think that we need to talk to the state about too, and this gets me every spring, there is no paint on our crosswalks. By the school, up and down Somerset Ave, there's no paint on the sidewalks, there's like a foot. And then the minute you get into the travel lane, there's just nothing, it's not even like pale, it's just not there. So there just isn't, it's not a safe thing for, especially over by the school, where so many kids are walking, not to have striping on Somerset Ave. And then the building next to the theater sustained some serious damage during the storms this winter, and you can still kind of see, well, one window is just plywooded over. And then you can see like bricks hanging off the side of the roof. Has that building been inspected or anything, or?
Speak to that, yes.
So I have spoke with the owner of the property. He has been slowly working at, like, for example, the little alleyway beside had debris in it and all that. He's been cleaning that up. That's all taken care of. There's been talks of him trying to sell the building and come up with a plan due to water damage and other things from the storms over the winter. So it's still a work in progress. We're trying to work with him the best we can. But we will have those problems addressed, and I should have more for you in the next meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
And this is a very little thing. When I went through the warrants, we pay $14.99 every single month to New England Coffee Company, and I understand it's for the water cooler up at the transfer station because there's no running water up there. Totally good. Can we just pay that once a year so that we don't have Donnie spending time signing off on this thing every month? And then Tina spending time doing a PO for this thing every month? It's a very small amount. We should be able to cash flow that. I'd like to see one invoice to sign off on instead, just to do a tiny bit to streamline things.
We'll see if we can make that happen.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
All right, Craig,
Oh, and thank you for supporting the Cheese Festival.
G's away. Craig,
Yeah, so thank you to Mr. Hobbins and Travis for speaking tonight, bringing up some of those points, keeping it front of mind for us. Much to Jason's point, he's been asking for, well, the 2.5 years I've been on here for a paving plan. And it's nice to know that Jacob and Donnie are putting some action behind that, and that we're actually being able to put together what the town will need to spend over the next few years, to kind of get us in a much better position right now. I very much understand what it's like to drive out of my driveway and immediately hit a pothole. I have one that's about 7 or 8 feet long right now, a foot outside of my driveway, so I get that. I can speak to the fact that this council is putting its money where its mouth is and kind of listening to these opinions and this feedback. Part of it, to Travis's point, is this year we put an additional person on the team with the water and sewer to start addressing some of these issues that have been concerns for so long that we keep saying prevents us from paving. So it's nice that we're actually finally putting that labor in to identify and correct the issue so we can do it. The other thing is, we do have a condition report that we were supplied 2 years ago, and Elise brought it into us. I think you might have been here that evening as well, or that might have been predated you, I'm not sure.
I was like, if I was here, I was brand new.
If you would ask her to maybe dredge that up if she could, that had conditioned by road
Yeah.
in town, it
we
had
had that.
size of pipe, type of pipe,
Water.
right? The longevity that we could expect out of that, and which ones had cameras down them already, and which ones were recommended for cameras in the future, and to be. That'll give us the best possible starting point. I'm sure we could probably all dig it up, but she probably has it right now.
She sent it,
File.
she sent it to me probably.
Oh, so you have it, can you distribute that to us again? That would be fantastic. And I think that's gonna be a really good place for us to look at and start to determine, where that needs to go. I have recently been down Maple, and I don't even like riding my bicycle down there. It's kind of like a nice little chicane, like you said, right? I mean, it's not fun. So I hope that we can get some traction behind that and actually get some of these taken care of. So that's it. Just big thanks. Good for the discussion, and looking forward to our next meeting and discussion on the theater going a little further, maybe gaining some traction, right? Instead of just the emotion getting involved. All of us kind of easily do that, where this town means a lot to us. Not been here 55 years, but I've been here 23, and I love it, right? I absolutely love it. My kid's here, my wife's here. I plan on us dying here. Well, hopefully we don't die for a long time, but I plan on it being here when it happens, right? It's gonna be here, so, backyard, but. No, I love this town, and I really want to do not what's right for us today. I want to do what's right for us 20 years from now, right? And that we've already lost an entire side of what used to be our downtown. If you look at the pictures, there was a picture that I believe we supplied Tim when he left the council. And it had what was the original downtown, right? How much of that is missing? And I understand the knocking the building down, I get all of that, but to some extent, we've already lost all of that history. Do we want to keep eroding what we have for that, right? There is something of value to our town, and there's charm that brings it here. So, and that, all of it is a piece of it. So I look forward to it. Let's put some actual thought into it, to Mike's point, and bring some good ideas, and let's get it resolved and start moving forward. So, thank you.
Just a quick question about.
very, very brief.
Very quick. Is that report updated for the work that's been done for the last 2 years, or is it the 2-year-old report? Do you know if it's been updated over time?
If I remember correctly, Annalise said that it hadn't been updated since it was sent out the last time.
Okay, so that gives us a benchmark of where we were. We know what we've done, what's planned already.
Right.
And we know where we might go, and that would be Maple Street.
You guys have you've done some camera work since then.
You said you're
done camera work. Okay.
If it requires updating, I can request that, the town makes the request to have that updated and sent along.
Thank
All right. Thank you all very much. I want to, please, give my personal thanks to all ladies upstairs. Nicole, you and your group upstairs do a fantastic job every week, and, clerk's week, was administrative assistants week, whatever it's called. I wish we could have known that well ahead of time. It should have been trumpeted a lot louder, because, you ladies upstairs do a fantastic job. So I will close by saying 62 years on God's green earth, and I still need to hone my people skills, because at times they really suck. So I want to apologize personally, Craig, Heather, Doc, Jason, Eric, Natalia, everyone in here. I did not represent this seat in this council that need to be represented. I know better than to let my emotions get in play. And I will do the best I can not to do so again, something as important as this, so please accept my sincere apologies. That's not how I need to represent. So I look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Sorry.